When we talk about numbers that guide our feelings about the economy and the current state of things, the big one is unemployment. And I do mean big. The spike has been absolutely incredible. Coming into this, the headline unemployment rate in the US was 3.5%. That's about as low as it's ever been. Suddenly, in April, went up to 14.7%. Wow. That's what, 11 million, sorry, 1 in 9 American workers suddenly lost their jobs. But we all know that, well, it's just a number. I mean, what does it really mean? What is this unemployment rate? And in fact, as big as that number is, it's not really the big number. There is a number that's probably better to watch. It's important to understand what we're measuring when we look at the unemployment rate. And this is what we call the headline unemployment rate, or U4. See, the Bureau of Labor Statistics keeps a monthly survey of companies and households. It's a household survey. And they ask, are you working? Were you working before? And from this survey of thousands of people, they get two very big numbers. The total number of people who were employed, which was 150 million at the start, and then another very big number, and then they subtract these two to get a very small number. It goes up and down a little bit. More on that later. But the actual unemployment rate, well, people often accuse it of being fudgy, of being a conspiracy to hide the real value from us. It's not a conspiracy. It's just you have to understand what U4, the headline unemployment number, really means. What it is it's a measure of people who are available for work right now. Now, there are 340 million people in the United States, roughly. And there were about 150 million working, down to about 130 million now. Not everybody wants or needs to work. First of all, we have children. Second of all, we have retired people right there. Then there are those who are in school, who have taken time out to study, maybe taken time out to raise the kids. They might be disabled or just might be rich and have no interest in working whatsoever. Not everybody wants to work. So you can't count as a percent your bottom, your denominator being everybody. That wouldn't make sense. So what do you use? The headline unemployment rate leaves out a lot of things on purpose. It leaves out the two most important ones are what we would call discouraged workers, people who might be interested in working, but they haven't found anything good and they're just not really in the labor force right now. They're not working. They might be in school and if you offered them the right job, they would stop their studies and go right to work. Or they might be raising the kids at home. And if you gave them a job where they could afford daycare, they'd certainly take it, but they're not just going to grab anything. The second thing that's left out of this headline unemployment rate is people who have reduced hours, essentially. It's called involuntary part-time. Okay, and that's something we want to get at. See, this problem has been known for a long time. The original U4 was set up for, again, you need to understand who the number was meant for. It was from 1948. We have data going all the way back. And it was to guide policy and big corporations as to what the existing labor pool is right now. It's not necessarily everybody that could be working. It's an industrial figure. It's for the purposes of guiding industrial policy, not for individual choice. And this problem of undercounting, particularly those marginal workers and the part-time involuntarily, has been known since the 1980s. And new definitions of unemployment have come in. And since 1994, every single month, alongside U4 has been published U5 and U6. U6 is the important one because it includes those two groups in particular. Now, the headline unemployment rate, again, it spiked up to 14.7% from 3.5. U6 was at an all-time low of 6.7%. It's always a little bit higher than that if you start counting the marginal workers and those who don't have a full 40 hours. That one has spiked up to 22.8%. And that's the number you might want to consider to be the real one. And this is a number that is not just true in the United States, but it's consistent kind of all around the world, that 20 to 25% of all workers are unemployed. This is true in Europe, this is true in China, this is just about everywhere. And we don't know how it's going to go. I mean, that is one hell of a jump in 1 month. We've never seen anything like that before. For comparison purposes, at the height of the big recession, what I call the managed depression, back in January 2010, that was the low point for everybody. Uh, the headline unemployment rate spiked to 10.7%, and U6 spiked to 17.1%. We are considerably higher than that now. Okay, is it going to only go up, or when things reopen, will it come back down a little bit? We don't really know yet. We don't know the rate of business failures. Now, it's been estimated that 10% of all small businesses have failed during this period of time, and small businesses account for half the unemployment. But the ADP unemployment rate showed that the biggest job losses were with large corporations. Now, ADP is a payroll process, automatic data processing. It's a company that does about 12% of all the payroll in the United States, about 60% of the small businesses. Now, it would have been great to just, give them money to handle everything, but no, we didn't do that. It would have been a much more efficient way of getting money out to people. And they have their own unemployment report that comes out a few days before the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And because they have this insanely large pool, their numbers are pretty good in real time. The Bureau of Labor Statistics numbers kind of go up and down a little bit, whereas the ADP numbers go across. They don't publish an unemployment rate because they don't have the underlying who should be in the job market at the moment, but they do have a good count of the number of workers. And they will tell you a few days in advance of the Bureau of Labor Statistics what's really going on, and they break it down by sector and by size. So it's been interesting that even though we see small businesses are starting to fail, it's been large corporations had 45% of the job cuts in April versus they only had about 25% of the total jobs. So big businesses are also paring back. We can expect all of these numbers to go up. So what do we make of U6? First of all, I'd like you to look at it yourself. I'm going to put some links in the description so that you can go to the Federal Reserve Economic Data page and also the ADP unemployment report. Very, very good thing. You can see how things are broken down a little bit differently. But it's good to look at those graphs. Currently, the gap between U4, the headline unemployment, and U6 is what, about 8%. That's a big number. That's probably not marginal workers who have given up looking. It's probably reduced hours people. Remember, there was a gap of about 3% going into it. It's now 8%. That means that 1 in 20 workers roughly is just working with fewer hours than they'd like. This is an important number to keep track of. And again, it's U6 that includes everything. If you want an actual people-based count of people who just don't have enough income, don't have enough hours, don't have enough opportunity, have opted to stay at home, stay on unemployment, things like that, U6 is the number to look at. It's going to continue to grow by any estimate. Again, that's the number that's at 22.8%, better than 1 in 5 American workers, closing in on 1 in 4. And we see this all around the world. But if you want to keep track of what's going on, don't pay attention to that headline unemployment rate. I don't know why it's the number that we keep reporting. I mean, they've been doing it since 1948. I guess it's kind of a habit. But it's a number that advises policymakers about the available workforce. U6 is a better number, and it's been published since 1994. We have a good track of it. And, we know what it was like going through the last cycle like this. We know that we're already considerably worse, considerably faster. What's the number to watch? If you're looking at unemployment, that ADP report is nice, but U6, keep an eye on that figure. That will tell you what's really going on in the world. Thank you.